Oh, it is Diane with Diane's BlueHeartsAndButterflies.com, and we've just had our February stamp class, and I wanted to share the how-tos of putting things together, as well as the supplies that were used and some neat techniques that I had shared. So we're going to start with the first one that we did. Of course, we concentrated on Valentine's Day, and we used on this one the Hearts and Kisses bundle, which is this stamp set along with this punch, and it does cut out the lips and the heart for this punch. And it's just a great one to do for your friends to share a Valentine card. I also used materials from the snail. Hold on just a minute. I have that out here. These products are found in the January to June mini catalog. And this was the Snail Mail Twine Combo. It's in Blushing Bride and Whisper White. The Hearts, and that's on page 55. The Hearts and Kisses bundle is found on page 14 of the catalog here. And this one is great for just simple stamping, and you can also kind of step it up a little bit. I also used some designer series paper from the True Love, which is the black and white one on page 11. It has some really great background pieces. And of course, this is the Elegant Faceted Gems that are in the, I think this was in the main catalog, yes. And there's a few different colors. And so I was going to share those with you. Let me move these things off. Of course, until the end of February 2021, the celebration is going on. It will be closing out. So for every $50 of product that you do order, you can choose most items in the catalog. There are a couple of items that you would have to make a $100 purchase in order to receive, and that is, one of them is a touch of ink, and the other one is which is a photopolymer two-step kind of stamp, and then the Berry Blessing stamp set and designer series paper that you could get with $100 purchase. So if you are interested in taking advantage of this promotion, please go to my blog at dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com, and I would love for you to shop with me. So let's get started with the things that we will need. So this idea came from off of Pinterest. I saw Catherine Collison had made it, and I really thought it was a great way of using this stamp set that was sort of simple, but it could be, like I said, stepped up for those stampers that are more casual and avid stampers. So the base that I chose was the Magenta Madness, which is one of the end colors, and it is cut at 4 1/4 by 11. It is scored in landscape at 5.5 inches, and then there is a piece that I cut for the inside that measures 4 by 5 1/4, and we'll be stamping on that. The other pieces for the front, this is that some of that True Love designer series paper. There's kind of floral on one side, and then either solid or other black and white kind of pattern on the back. And so I chose the black striped one to give more of a contrast. This piece is cut at 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. A basic black piece cut at 2 3/8 by 3 7/8. A white cardstock. The Whisper White has gone away. The company ended up going out of business that was producing this for us, and so they have come up with a new called Basic White. I'm still using up the Whisper White that I have. So it's 2 1/4 by 3 3/4. And then I had another little strip for the sentiment that I cut at 3/4 by 3 inches. And then I had a piece of scrap of the white cardstock that I'm going to be stamping the pair of lips on and punching that out. So let's get some of these things set aside here. I also grabbed 3 of those gems, and then there's about 28 inches of that twine that I have for doing this card. So for the background, I wanted to use that kind of a swoosh that is in this stamp set to create that background image. And so I am going to take some Post-it notes and create a mask at my score line so that when I stamp this on the front, that it won't go onto the back side. Now there are 2 ways of doing this to get this kind of a shadow watermarked image. And one way is to use the Versamark ink pad. This one is more of a thicker, slower drying ink pad that creates a watermark. Or you could use the same color as the cardstock. And that's one thing I really love about the Stampin' Up! Products is the colors coordinate so well together, and they everything matches together. And so what I did, or I chose to do, was to ink up this kind of a watercolor swoosh, and then I just kind of stamped, and then sometimes I would just stamp again, give it a little bit lighter shade of the ink. And I just kind of did this around in different areas because I knew that it was going to be mostly hidden by the piece on the front anyway. So there is that. And while I have this Magenta Madness out, I am going to go ahead and stamp the lips. One thing that I really like about this set is that it already has the shading built in, so that it creates kind of that 3D look without you having to do anything special with it. One thing also that I was trying to share is that instead of, because of the way that the ink pads are stored with the ink coming to the surface of the pad, you don't have to push down very hard. All you're really trying to ink up is this little bit of the raised part. And when you tend to, when people tend to push down into that ink pad is when they actually get it on the outer edges, which creates those kind of halo effects. So it's just kind of a tapping effect to get ink and making sure that it's all the way around there. And then you put this on your scrap piece of white. And you can see how lovely that lines and shading create this. So one of the other tips that I wanted to give is you could create a larger piece of scrap so that it would fit in here better, but you could see that I can't quite reach. But in order to use up a lot of our scrap pieces that are smaller, you can also take just a Post-it note and adhere to one side of this, and then that gives you a little bit more room to be able to put this inside the punch and line it up so that you can punch that out and have a really great way of using up some of those little pieces of scrap. So I did share that tip with the people that came to the class. And so let me move some of these stamps off. You can see on this background white piece, I did stamp in other colors. You could just stamp these lips in the same color, just varying different, you could do stamp offs and create a different shade of the same, but I did go ahead and use the Rococo Rose and the Blushing Bride to create this. So I'm going to do the same thing on my white piece here. I just need to clean off the stamp. I really love the stamp chamois. They make it really easy to clean our stamps quick and fast. Now this is a red rubber stamp, so you don't have to use a any other kind of stamping surface, but sometimes, just in case I don't get a really great stamped image, it is a nice thing to have your Stampin' Pierce mat underneath the surface so that you could just make sure that you get that good stamped image. So again, I'm just tapping it on the surface, and this may be a little bit harsh, so I think this time I'm going to stamp off, and then I'm going to stamp on here. Just create a little bit lighter shade. And again, I'm going to stamp off some of that ink so that I can not get so much on my stamp chamois. And then I'm going to use the Blushing Bride. And I'm just going to do that one at the bottom, just to kind of create some things. And so this is the other one that I punched out, and I'm going to raise that one up using dimensionals just to give it a little bit more of a pop. Let me get those out of the way. And one of the other pieces for the front is this little strip, and one of the sayings that it has in this stamp set is "You go, girl," and I really thought that that was a cute saying to share with some of my friends. You just, again, want to tap, make sure you get the ink, good coverage of the ink, and then excuse my head if it's in the way, trying to get that lined up. Okay, and as I did on my card that I made for the display, you could leave that's just straight, or you could, if you'd like to flag the end, you could either use your snips to cut in part of the way and then cut from each corner to create a flag, or you could use the banner triple punch and just put that in a little ways to create that banner end. And then you have the little banner punches on the ends, and that's one way of doing that. And so I've got these pieces done, so now I need to do the one for the inside. And one of the other sayings that it had was Happy Galentine's Day, and then it has this really cute lipstick, and then this XOXO. And so I did want to stamp these images on the inside, so I used Blushing Bride for the lipstick, and I just kind of did that off to the side on one side, and then I used the Magenta Madness again for the XOXO, and then I put that on the other side. And always try to hold your stamps straight up and down and go straight down onto the paper and pull straight back up. That has a tendency to lessen the likelihood that you're going to end up creating those halo effects with rocking your stamp. And then again, I used the Memento Tuxedo Black for the Happy Galentine's Day. I thought that was a really cute, creative way for someone to say Valentine's Day. I am going to stamp the little bit of the ink off of that one. I got a little too much on the top. So again, just try to stamp that straight down and straight back up so that you don't have the rocking effect. And so then it is time to get things ready to assemble. One other thing, some of these gems, elegant faceted gems, some of them are a light pink and some of them are kind of a white and some of them are clear. And I thought that using the clear ones and then using the Magenta Madness Stampin' Blends would be a perfect way to kind of get it to be similar. You could use some of the other colors, but you could color these to create whatever color you want. And it's best to use the blends than it is to use the Stampin' Write markers. The blends are an alcohol-based marker, so the alcohol will dry up and then just leave the color behind, whereas the Stampin' Write markers are more of a dye, and they have a tendency to still be wet for a while and then wipe off when you're doing that. So just thought I'd share that tip with you as well. So let me bring in some adhesive here. So I'm going to adhere the small white stamped piece, and I got glue off to the side, but it's really nice with this Stampin' Seal Plus that you can actually fold that over. I prefer the Plus because it rolls much easier. It has little kind of slits. It's kind of already kind of cut a little bit, and it tends to roll easier than the Stampin' Seals. So that's the reason that you see me using it more. Got a little bit hanging over again. And there's just a small border around this one, and I wanted to create a little bit larger border with the Designer Series paper so that you could actually see that diagonal stripe, and it would give more of a background image. So you just put that on there, and then this is where you would wrap the twine, and I just kind of wrapped it a few times, leaving some to tie the bow. There's many ways, many videos, many different techniques on tying pretty bows, and you can search for all of those different things on the YouTube channels and blogs and internet and Pinterest. And so you just get it to where you kind of like it and want it. And then, like I said, I then glued this directly onto the card front. And you can even do this at an angle. It doesn't, there's nothing, no rule set that you have to have everything squared up or straight on. And it's just kind of, it could create a sort of cute effect to turn it kind of at an angle on there. I'm going to trim up this twine a little bit. And then I have the You Go Girl that I'm going to put some adhesive on, and then I'm just going to angle that one as well. And I will put a couple of dimensionals on the back of the lips. Put those right here on the front. Let me glue this piece on the inside now. There we go. And then you can take your gems and place them around where you would like them to be. And there's many different ways of doing this. Some people use their take your pick tool. Some people use their scissors. Some people use their fingers. Some people use some little pliers. There's just many ways, and it's whatever works for you. And I'm going to do that one up here. So you just add some little bit of a bling, and it really helps to bring it alive too. So I thank you for watching my video, and I hope that you will come back and check out other things. You can click to subscribe to my channel and be notified if you select the bell when I upload other videos. Also check out my blog at dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com. I do blog once a month because I do have another job and a class that I teach. So I appreciate your time and for sharing your time with me. And I hope that you have a great day. Thank you.